Welcome in, student researchers. Today, we're taking our source material and officially opening up a hands-on paragraph clinic for this explainer. I'm stepping into the role of your executive writing coach today, and our main goal is to figure out exactly how to take those messy, sprawling, frankly intimidating first drafts and transform them into tightly woven, undeniable arguments. Because listen, high-level academic writing, it isn't just throwing smart-sounding words onto a page and hoping they somehow stick together. Not at all. It's about disciplined text management. It's about understanding the raw mechanics of your writing so deeply that your reader literally never gets lost. So we're going to strip away the fluff, diagnose the weaknesses in your drafts, and build back stronger, highly professional arguments together.
Okay, let me ask you something, and I really want you to be completely honest with yourself here. You're writing a massive paper, you're staring at the screen, and you hit the Enter key to start a new paragraph. Why exactly do you do it? Are your paragraphs just visual breaks? Do you just look at the page, realize a block of text is getting a little too long, maybe a little too intimidating to the eye, and think, yeah, it's probably time for an indent? Because if so, you are falling into one of the absolute most common traps in academic writing. You're treating paragraphs as cosmetic features rather than functional, argumentative steps. A paragraph is a precision tool, it's not a formatting aesthetic. So today, we are going to completely rewire how you think about that Enter key.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's session. First, the academic argument system. Second, the anatomy of an academic paragraph. Third, cohesion and cognitive flow. Fourth, macro navigation through numbering. And finally, Module 5, the paragraph clinic.
Starting us off with Module 1, the academic argument system.
Before we grab our scalpels and start fixing broken paragraphs, we really need to understand the big picture, the overarching structure of mature academic writing. Check out this executive summary quote from the source material. It says, "Effective academic writing relies on the symbiotic relationship between micro-level argumentative units, which are your paragraphs, and macro-level navigational tools, which is your numbering." I really want you to absorb that phrase, symbiotic relationship. A mature text is a cohesive system of inquiry. It's not just a random collection of sentences strung together. It's an entire living system where the tiny microcells, your paragraphs, have to work in perfect harmony with the macroskeleton, your numbering and your headings. If either the cells or the skeleton fails, well, the whole argument just collapses.
So, what does this kind of intellectual discipline actually look like when you're staring at the page? It basically boils down to this one golden rule. One paragraph equals exactly one argumentative step. That's it. You aren't just dumping information on the reader. You are advancing a claim. Your ideas within that space absolutely must be argumentative, not merely descriptive. You're not just telling us what a source says, right? You have to tell us why it actually matters to your thesis. And please keep this in mind. Length does not determine quality. Seriously, a massive, page-long paragraph isn't necessarily a smart paragraph. It's usually just an unfocused one. Intellectual discipline ensures clear focus and logical continuity, not just higher word counts.
Moving right along to Module 2, Anatomy of an Academic Paragraph.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we zoom in from the overarching system down to those micro-level cells we talked about. Let's break down the complex ecosystem of a paragraph into 3 absolutely non-negotiable components. First up is your topic sentence. This is your argumentative entrance. It has to state your main claim or stance for that specific paragraph. It's the signpost for the reader. Second is the development phase. This is where the real heavy lifting happens, your evidence and your analysis. Here, you're using references, data, theories, and examples to actually prove the claim you just made in that topic sentence. And finally, the closing or transition. This functions as a bridge. It synthesizes the implications of your evidence and creates a logical link forward to the very next argument. If your paragraphs are missing any of these 3 anatomical parts, I promise you, your argument is limping.
Next up, Module 3, Cohesion and Cognitive Flow.
All right, so we've built these perfect anatomical cells, right? But how do we actually connect them? Well, we do this by using transitions as logical anchors. Let's talk about managing your reader's brain power. This is known as the old to new information principle. It's a 2-step process. Step 1, start your sentences with old information, something you've already established with the reader. Step 2, introduce the new information at the very end of the sentence. Why do we do this? Because it dramatically reduces the reader's cognitive load. By starting with something familiar, you give your reader a really firm place to stand before you ask them to leap into a new complex idea. It just creates this smooth, frictionless reading experience. When you reverse it and you just blast the reader with brand new concepts right at the start of a sentence, it feels jarring. It's literally like hitting a speed bump.
Another absolute game changer for cognitive flow is meta-commentary. This is when you, as the author, step in and explicitly explain your intellectual actions within the text itself. It's phrasing like, having established the historical context, this analysis will now turn to the economic impacts. Notice what I'm doing right now. Just like I'm explicitly guiding you step by step through this explainer, telling you exactly what we're focusing on at all times, you have to hold your reader's hand and guide them through your research. You are actively directing them, preventing them from getting lost in the weeds. Don't make them guess why you're suddenly shifting topics. Just tell them.
All right, Module 4, Macro Navigation through Numbering.
And this brilliantly illustrates what happens when we zoom out from those micro-level paragraphs to look at the skeletal framework of your document. Numbering isn't just about formatting for the sake of it, it actually provides a cognitive framework for readers to navigate your complex hierarchies of ideas. Disciplined text management, like you can see on the left side here, visualizes the hierarchy perfectly with core numbers like 1, 2, 3, and single subnumbers like 2.1 and 2.2 for supporting points. But contrast that with the overnumbering on the right, section 2.1.1.1. You know, students often trap themselves into thinking that drilling down into endless decimal points makes their paper look highly technical or advanced. It doesn't. Honestly, it lacks professionalism and reads more like a software manual than an academic paper. Consistent, restrained formatting is what actually reflects disciplined text management.
And finally, Module 5, the Paragraph Clinic.
Welcome to the clinic portion. Think of this as physical therapy for your drafts. When you're staring at a really messy page, you have to remember that great academic writing is forged in the editing process. So, the crucial point is applying these hands-on refinement strategies. First, you need to conduct a ruthless line-by-line review. Second, remove all descriptive noise. What does that mean? Well, if a sentence is just summarizing a book, but it isn't actually advancing your specific argument, cut it out. It's just noise. Third, test the paragraph's function within the broader argument system. Does it play a mathematically necessary role, or is it just taking up space? Every single word must earn its place on that page by serving the greater argument.
Okay, let me introduce you to my absolute favorite editing tool, the transfer test. This is an essential, really high-stakes quality assurance protocol for your research writing. Here's exactly how it works. Highlight a paragraph in your draft. Now, mentally pick it up and move it 3 pages down. If you can do that, and the overall flow of the paper is completely unaffected, your draft has failed the test, no question. It means that paragraph lacks cohesion. It isn't anchored to the paragraph before it, and it isn't anchored to the paragraph after it. A truly cohesive paragraph is locked in tightly by those transitions, the meta-commentary, and that old-to-new principle we talked about. It should literally only make sense in the exact spot you placed it. So, we've covered the micro-clarity of building incredibly strong sentences and focused paragraphs, and we've mapped out the macro navigation of systematic numbering. You absolutely need both to achieve systemic unity in your writing. But as we close out this explainer, I want to leave you with one stark, incredibly powerful question. Seriously, I want you to print this out and tape it directly to your monitor. During your next writing session, looking at every single paragraph you draft, you must stop and ask yourself, how does this support the thesis? If you cannot immediately and clearly articulate the answer to that question, well, it's time to head back to the paragraph clinic. Keep your writing disciplined, keep it intensely focused, and whatever you do, never stop refining.